Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A spy employed to follow someone and report their movements. The rear part of a ship. Go after with the intent to catch. Any projection that resembles the tail of an animal. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The rear part of an aircraft. Remove or shorten the tail of an animal. The time of the last part of something. The tail of the storm. Remove the stalk of fruits or berries. The posterior part of the body of a vertebrate, especially when elongated and extending beyond the trunk or main part of the body. Usually plural, the reverse side of a coin that does not bear the representation of a person's head. A spy employed to follow someone and report their movements. An indication that something has been present. Something existing in perception only. Cast a shadow over. Make appear small by comparison. An unilluminated area. A dominating and pervasive presence. He received little recognition working in the shadow of his father. An inseparable companion. The poor child was his mother's shadow. A premonition of something adverse. A shadow over his happiness. Follow, usually without the person's knowledge. The police are shadowing her. Refuge from danger or observation. He felt secure in his father's shadow. Shade within clear boundaries. A spy employed to follow someone and report their movements. The rear part of a ship. Obscene terms for feces. The rear part of a ship. Slang terms for inside information. A stupid, foolish person. Pull. A person, apart with 4 horses tied to his extremities, so as to execute him. In the old days, people were drawn and quartered for certain crimes. One of 4 equal parts. A quarter of a pound. The rear part of a ship. Provide housing for military personnel. A district of a city having some distinguishing character. A fourth part of a year, 3 months. Unemployment fell during the last quarter. An unspecified person. He dropped a word in the right quarter. A quarter of a hundredweight, 25 pounds. A quarter of a hundredweight, 28 pounds. A United States or Canadian coin worth 1/4 of a dollar. He fed 4 quarters into the slot machine. A unit of time equal to 15 minutes or a quarter of an hour. It's a quarter till 4. Clemency or mercy shown to a defeated opponent. He surrendered but asked for quarter. Divide by 4. Divide into quarters. Divide into quarters. Quarter an apple. Football, professional basketball, one of 4 divisions into which some games are divided. Both teams scored in the first quarter. One of 4 periods into which the school year is divided. The fall quarter ends at Christmas. One of the 4 major division of the compass. The wind is coming from that quarter. piece of leather that comprises the part of a shoe or boot covering the heel and joining the vamp. Of a stern or strict bearing or demeanor, forbidding in aspect. A stern face. Severe and unremitting in making demands. A stern disciplinarian. The rear part of a ship. United States concert violinist, born in Russia in 1920. Severely simple. Not to be placated or appeased or moved by entreaty. The stern demands of parenthood. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Cut a furrow into a columns. Go after with the intent to catch. The policeman chased the mugger down the alley. United States politician and jurist who served as Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, 1808 to 1873. Pursue someone sexually or romantically. The act of pursuing in an effort to overtake or capture. A rectangular metal frame used in letterpress printing to hold together the pages or columns of composed type that are printed at one time. Cut a groove into. Chase silver. Go after with the intent to catch. Pursue someone sexually or romantically. A smooth textured sausage of minced beef or pork, usually smoked, often served on a bread roll. Go after with the intent to catch. The dog chased the rabbit. A hinged catch that fits into a notch of a ratchet to move a wheel forward or prevent it from moving backward. Someone who is morally reprehensible. You dirty dog. A dull, unattractive, unpleasant girl or woman. She's a real dog. A member of the genus Canis, probably descended from the common wolf, that has been domesticated by man since prehistoric times, occurs in many breeds. The dog barked all night. Metal supports for logs in a fireplace. Informal term for a man. You lucky dog. Go after with the intent to catch. Go after with the intent to catch. Go in search of or hunt for. A label written or printed on paper, cardboard, or plastic that is attached to something to indicate its owner, nature, price, etc. Go after with the intent to catch. A small piece of cloth or paper. Attach a tag or label to. A game in which one child chases the others. The one who is caught becomes the next chaser. A label associated with something for the purpose of identification. Semantic tags were attached in order to identify different meanings of the word. Provide with a name or nickname. Sports. The act of touching a player in a game, which changes their status in the game. Supply, blank verse or prose, with rhymes. Touch a player while he is holding the ball. Any road or path affording passage, especially a rough one. Computer science. One of the circular magnetic paths on a magnetic disk that serve as a guide for writing and reading data. Travel across or pass over. Go after with the intent to catch. The act of participating in an athletic competition involving running on a track. An endless metal belt on which tracked vehicles move over the ground. A course over which races are run. Evidence pointing to a possible solution. A distinct selection of music from a recording or a compact disc. The title track of the album. A line or route along which something travels or moves. The track of an animal. A bar or pair of parallel bars of rolled steel making the railway along which railroad cars or other vehicles can roll. A groove on a phonograph recording. A pair of parallel rails providing a runway for wheels. Carry on the feet and deposit. Track mud into the house. Make tracks upon. Observe or plot the moving path of something. Track a missile. To lag or linger behind. Go after with the intent to catch. Move, proceed, or walk draggingly or slowly. John trailed behind his classmates. Drag loosely along a surface. Allow to sweep the ground. The toddler was trailing his pants. Evidence pointing to a possible solution. The trail led straight to the perpetrator. A path or track roughly blazed through wild or hilly country. A track or mark left by something that has passed. There is a trail of blood. Hang down so as to drag along the ground. The bride's veiled trailed along the ground. Any projection that resembles the tail of an animal. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The time of the last part of something. Vulgar slang for anus. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Slang for sexual intercourse. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. A pompous fool. Hardy and sure-footed animal, smaller and with longer ears than the horse. The side of an object that is opposite its front. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Of timepieces. My watch is running behind. In debt. He fell behind with his mortgage payments. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Having the lower score or lagging position in a contest. Behind by 2 points. Low-lying alluvial land near a river. A cargo ship. They did much of their overseas trade in foreign bottoms. The second half of an inning, while the home team is at bat. A depression forming the ground under a body of water. The lower side of anything. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Come to understand. Provide with a bottom or a seat. Bottom the chairs. Situated at the bottom or lowest position. The bottom drawer. Strike the ground, as with a ship's bottom. The lowest part of anything. They started at the bottom of the hill. The lowest rank. Bottom member of the class. Ask for and get free. Be a parasite. Person who does no work. A lazy bum. Be lazy or idle. Her son is just bumming around all day. A person who is deemed to be despicable or contemptible. Throw the bum out. A vagrant. He tried to help the really down and out bums. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Of very poor quality, flimsy. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. A victim of ridicule or pranks. Lie adjacent to another or share a boundary. A joint made by fastening ends together without overlapping. Finely ground tobacco wrapped in paper, for smoking. Thick end of the handle. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. He deserves a good kick in the butt. To strike, thrust or shove against. He butted his sister out of the way. The small unused part of something, especially the end of a cigarette that is left after smoking. Sports equipment consisting of an object set up for a marksman or archer to aim at. A large cask, especially one holding a volume equivalent to 2 hogsheads or 126 gallons. Place end to end without overlapping. The frames must be butted at the joints. The part of a plant from which the roots spring or the part of a stalk or trunk nearest the roots. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. A buoy with a round bottom and conical top. A plumbing fixture for defecation and urination. A room or building equipped with one or more toilets. Terminate the employment of. Discharge from an office or position. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Preserve in a can or tin. The quantity contained in a can. Airtight sealed metal container for food or drink or paint, etc. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. External female sex organs. In England, fanny is vulgar slang for female genitals. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. Are you going to sit on your fanny and do nothing? Lowest support of a structure. The fundamental assumptions from which something is begun or developed or calculated or explained. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on. The part of an animal that corresponds to the human buttocks. The fleshy part of the human body that you sit on.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.